Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only, Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. It is August 23rd already. Oh, my goodness. And PK is with us tonight. Thank goodness. PK, how are you?
I'll just put it this way. It's been a heck of a breezy week. Oh, we'll just put it that way. And it's really hitting everybody.
Yeah, the winds there, you're saying, are bringing in allergies like crazy.
Oh, I look like a raccoon with puffy eyes. God.
Oh, my God, you poor thing.
You can hear my voice. But the thing that we really need to pay attention to, folks, is Mercury went retrograde today. And that is not going to be fun. So Mercury being retrograde, anything to do with communications, can and will be misinterpreted. Turned around, we're not going to be sure of what we hear. If we think we're here, double check. When Mercury turns retrograde, it relates to making any kind of decisions, signing contracts. By God, please be cautious of any contracts you have to sign. You have to be very careful. Read the fine print and pay attention to all the details this time, because you can't very well do it over. There's no do-overs when it comes to this. But when it turns retrograde, we also have Mars in retrograde right now. The combination relates to decision-making and definitely signing contracts. So make sure to read the fine print and pay attention to all the little details this time, because we don't want to have any periods that you can't get out of, shall we say, once it's over with. So that's the thing to pay attention to. And
when is Mercury retrograde going to be over this time?
Around the 27th.
Of September.
It's a 3-week long. Look forward to September 15th when we can come out of this. But remember, we always have that shadow period afterwards, before it starts and after it takes hold. So we've got that ongoing. And so we're also, Mercury is right next to Mars, having its own little issues. So it's kind of like a little bit of a chicken fight going on here. Who's in charge? Well, it's certainly not us, unless you're born in a retrograde. Then you've got some positive things taking place. But with the Mars-Mercury combination, it's still going to pose a problem for us.
Oh, my. Okay. Well, we'll just kind of hold our breath till it's over.
Well, if we do, we're not going to be here. So,
oh, gosh.
Just make up your mind to what you need to do. Pay attention to the details. And, God, sign nothing without double-checking, triple-checking, whatever. Don't just assume. We all know what assuming does, doesn't it?
Oh, gosh. Well, that's good advice. But we do have a super blue moon coming up in a couple of weeks, right?
Yes, we do. But I'll put some things together, put that on the website for others to take a look at. I'll put it on my webpage coming up.
Yeah, and we can talk about that.
To see what's what.
Yeah, and then we can talk about it next week before it happens, because these super blue moons, pink, green, whatever they are, they always bring something extra in. And it's usually something good.
It definitely is. And if we stop and take a look at things, this month we know reviews last year. So we've got the retrograde ongoing. So things that we didn't finish up, let's get it off the table so that come September, we don't have to look over our shoulder anymore. There's just been too many things It's like carrying coals to Newcastle, as they say. We don't need that. We need to start paying attention to the details of what's going on around us going forward instead of looking over our shoulder all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's important for us to get that going.
Clear the decks and get ready for a new year.
Definitely so. But like I said, be very cautious of what you sign. And I think more than anything else, whatever we read also, double check it. We tend to spot read, and we think we've got the answer from what we just saw. And if we reread it, it'll be like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't see that part. Don't assume. Double check everything right now.
Yeah, it really is better not to sign, though. Isn't it better not to sign a contract in this time period? Oh,
definitely so. But the thing is, if you read it and you get good advice and you put it in order, that's fine. If you were born in a retrograde, hey, have at it. You're in good shape.
Right, then it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's the hard part. And it's not just letting things go right now. We're reviewing last year's issues. And if we don't get those off the table, we're going to have those sitting on our shoulders as we go into a review of this year. We need to get some of this dead wood out of the way. We're carrying too many leftovers. It's time we started working on going forward and all the good things that we know are coming up because, hey, next year's going to be a great one because it'll help us financially in so many different directions. But right now we're holding on to things that aren't our responsibility any longer if we do it properly. If we don't, it's going to be like carrying this great big bag of trash behind us.
Yeah.
Think positive. Go forward.
Yes, and let go of the other stuff. Okay. All right. We know what to do. That sounds good.
I always think of take all the things that are negative around you. Visualize them going into this great big knapsack. And as you throw it in the car, as you drive down the road, drop your window, visualize yourself throwing it out. You don't care where it goes. It's just not going home anymore.
Yeah, that's good. Nice visualization to get rid of that stuff. Definitely. I want to direct everybody also to our homepage, supernaturalgirls.com, and take a look at everything that we have for your health. It's on our homepage, and we have some incredible products there. You get a discount if you purchase anything from our page. We don't sell these, but we will point you in a direction to take a look at them to see if they're right for you. Again, we have Energy. This is a very special oxygen machine. It's spiralized, photosynthesized oxygen. And this does not produce any free radicals, which I don't know if anybody that's listening is on oxygen, but if you are, you probably know that oxygen can produce free radicals. Nobody wants that. So Energy has a system that allows you to be fully oxygenated without free radicals. And there's other elements that are added to this that make it a very powerful health treatment. So you can find that on our homepage. Take a look at it. And if you want more information, their sales representative is listed there, Joan, and she can answer all of your questions. This is a system that you can buy for your home, or if you are a spa owner or a wellness center owner, then they also have professional machines that you can buy for your spa or your wellness center. So take a look there. We also have the Weber technology, also from Germany, and that is the new Endolight band that you just put on your wrist for half an hour a day. And they have many other things. Dr. Weber is a true genius. He's been on the show talking about his inventions. They are leading edge. And again, all of this that we have on our homepage is designed to put your health back into your own hands so that you don't get lost in the ups and downs and roller coaster ride of the traditional medical system. So take a look and see if anything is a good fit for you. Now, we have a really interesting guest tonight, and he's going to be talking to us about birds and the spirit of birds. And what are they saying to us? Are we listening? He's going to tell us all about birds and their communication tonight. His name is Dr. Alan Powers, and he earned his Ph.D. in English from the University of Minnesota in 1974 with post-doctoral studies at Princeton, Brown, Harvard, Cornell, the Folger Library, Breadloaf, and more. There's a place in Italy I can't pronounce, but that's there as well. The American Academy in Rome also. He is Professor Emeritus of English at Bristol Community College, where he was chairman of the English department from 1988 to 1992. He is the author of several books, including Conversations with Birds and the Worlds of Giordano Bruno, and he lives in Westport, Massachusetts, a neighbor of mine. So we are so excited to have him here. So, Alan, welcome to the show.
Yes. Hi. Well, thank you so much for your glowing introduction. And, yeah, you live up in the Berkshires, don't you?
That's right.
Patricia.
That's
Yeah,
right.
because of your 413. I could read a little bit about what birds don't talk about. They don't talk about sports. And I claim they would basically beat us in every sport we do. You know, high hurdles, 100-yard dash. They're the hummingbirds faster than any of us. Birds' stock portfolios are remarkably thin, although some few species do hoard, and their discussion of investments can be summed up in the seasonal ebb and flow of sunlight. They do chatter a great deal about weather, and rain causes many to sink into silence. Not the robins, though. Even among humans, the avian ability to discuss weather instead of serious subjects has always been a sign of good breeding, and birds are nothing if not good breeders. The migratory species would probably watch the Weather Channel before migration if they knew human language. Certainly butterflies should, too. When Hurricane Bob tore through Rhode Island at 110, talk about winds you were talking about, 110 miles an hour, I saw dozens of monarchs caught in their migration sweep backwards at very high speeds. One recent October, I heard around sunrise, very rapid 16th note triplets, an ascending minor third. This was a Carolina wren. I don't know what birds your listeners are familiar with, but if they're familiar with what certain birds look like, I would love to have them, and there's even a website for this, although I've forgotten the name. I'd love to have them start being aware of what they say. Robins, for instance, have kind of a creaky, they sound sort of like a screen door. They do. They're not really pure-toned like the chickadee. The chickadee, Ralph Waldo Emerson has a poem on the chickadee, and he says the chickadee saved him. He was 3 miles from home in a snowstorm, and this chickadee, he calls it a titmouse because that's the species it is. This chickadee did, like that, and he got attended to it, and the chickadee sort of woke him up in this storm, and he found his way back home because the chickadee, he said, was so courageous against the winds and the storm. It was saying what Caesar said, "Wane, weedy, weaky, I came, I saw, I conquered." So he says the chickadee, that's what it's saying. Anyways,
so it saved his life. It saved his life, which is just an amazing experience.
Exactly. And it's a fairly long poem, about 80 lines, and he said he's got great lines in it. One of them is, "The sky dotes on cheerful song." A lot of people see birds as cheerful. Well, they are and they aren't. They go through moods just like anybody else. And the wood thrush actually sounds sort of sad in a way, but it's like the blues. It's sad and happy both at once. The wood thrush does this. If you just play the black keys on the piano, you're doing the pentatonic scale, which is what wood thrush do in their song. or parts of that. And Frost has a poem about it where he says, as I came to the edge of the wood, thrush music, heart. Now, if it was light outside, inside it was dark, too dark, in the wood for a bird by sleight of wing to better its perch for the night, though it still could sing. Far in the pillared dark, thrush music went, almost like a call to come in to the dark and lament. But no, I was out for stars. I would not come in. I meant not even if asked, and I hadn't been. So he goes against the poetic thing that birds are talking to invite us. They're not. They're talking to each other mostly, but we do feel the invitation of their song.
Well, I would think that a lot of birds might feel kind of ignored by humans because we block it out. It's like we don't know what they're saying, so we just kind of go on about our business and we don't pay attention. And I mean, every morning I go outside and I hear them singing, and it's so beautiful. But I don't know how many people actually get that opportunity.
No. And do you have a favorite bird in Western Mass? There was a wonderful. I have a friend who lives on top of South Mountain, south of Pittsfield, and one bird in his trees was a peewee, which I cannot repeat right now, but it does a sort of something like that up, and it was way tall, up in a 80-foot, 70-foot tree, But yes, we do ignore what they're saying because we don't know their language, and I'm trying to understand their language essentially. But they are saying different things. A lot about weather. They change. For instance, if it's cold, there was a famous astronomer named Harlow Shapley who made a thermometer out of ants because ants travel directly as the temperature. When it's a hotter temperature, ants go faster. And when it's colder, they go slower. Yeah. So it's just the opposite of us. But and I think my theory is with birds and weather that when it's colder, they are faster with their speech basically. And there's so many things that crows are very complex talkers, but I don't really have crows near me. The crows I knew were when I was in my grandparents' farm up in Norway, Maine, up on Crockett Ridge, and I heard a lot of crows, but I didn't really know anything about birdsong back then, or bird talk. So I never really mastered the crow language, but all the blackbirds have incredible speech. For instance, the Euro blackbird, very different from the starling or any of those. The Euro blackbird, I heard them in Naples, Napoli, and in London, and they do very complicated, and they seem diatonic, but they're not. This is one of the blackbirds I heard, Euro blackbird, in Weymouth, England, and it did this. And that was just the two measures that it repeated. It did another 70 different kinds of, 70 measures of different things. So it was very, very inventive. It was a real composer, and it's just an average blackbird, in England.
It's amazing.
Or in
really.
Yeah,
well, one of the things that's amazing to me is that crows can talk. Whether they're mimicking what they hear from us, or they really. But I guess I feel like they really understand what they're saying, and they're so intelligent.
They have, and they can actually. Many birds can actually sort of imitate human words to some extent. I don't know about crows, but macaws certainly can. We had a friend who had a macaw in a cage, but she let it out in. She was the dean of art at RISD, a famous art school in Providence. But she, Donna Bruton, and this macaw perfectly imitated my laugh. Just perfectly. It sounded just like me.
That's hilarious.
I couldn't believe it. It is hilarious. I couldn't believe it. The ear of these things, the birds really have better ears. It makes perfect sense, that anything that depends as much on speech that's music, and some of the different birds that I think of as a song sparrow. There's a 1909 book by Schuyler Matthews. Wonderful book, Wild Birds and Their Music. And he compares the song sparrow, something like that. He said he heard one that sounded exactly like La Donna Mobile from Verdi in Rigoletto. La Donna Mobile. I shouldn't sing it because I can't sing, but this bird did it just a song sparrow did almost a perfect Verdi, And I myself tried to teach. I tried to teach an oriole. Now, orioles are the birds that you hear in the spring. You hear kind of a bluesy note. They used to be the first ones back, but now they do this sort of bluesy, But eventually, they can. I'm trying to find the page with the. Here it is. I said, I don't know how he did it. Giovanni di Bernardone, that's St. Francis. They said he talked to birds. He seems to have engaged them somehow, spoken to them. I tried this once with Oriole. I noticed one who made 3 short notes and then 2 glissandos, a minor third lower. So he did. To hint at what I tried, the first 3 notes sounded like the first notes of Beethoven's most famous theme, starting his 5th symphony. The only hitch was the 4th note, glissando down a half step. And the Oriole's 5th note repeated that gliss exactly. I figured I could use the bird's tonal flexibility and whistle the 5th note a half step plus a quarter note higher. Begod, the bird did it. I had preached to a bird. So I found some Oriole doing a little bit of Beethoven, something like Beethoven, and as did Schuyler Matthews with the song sparrow doing a little Verdi.
Right. Now, up here we have barred owls, and they have a wonderful way of talking to each other that you hear echoes throughout the woods. It's really, I love it. It's powerful.
I used to be, I used to be able to do one of the barred owl talks, but I haven't done one lately. We have in back here we had a great naturalist named Herb Hadfield who left his land. Now you can walk on his lands and stuff. He had one of the first windmills. It didn't work very well, but he also had an owl who had been, I think, as a young owl, it had lost some of its strength, wing or something, had been hit. So he had this owl, and so we'd have this. Ooh, 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 oops, ooh, 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 ooh. I'm not doing it very well. It was a deep sound, but they carry just amazingly.
Well, that's what's so amazing to me. Yes, they do carry throughout the whole forest, and it is amazing. I mean, it's so obvious that they're talking to each other because I'll hear one hooting, and then I'll hear the other one return a call. I don't know why
maybe they do it to terrify their prey, because why would they want to make their presence known? Because they are the best predators, owls. They come in at night. They come. There was an owl that tried to take blue heron out in Cornell. Blue herons are huge, and they have a big nest.
Big.
But they come in at night. and he tried. He didn't succeed to get this blue heron, because the interesting thing about heron is when they're squunched up to sleep, both ends look the same. So he got the wrong end. He didn't get the head. The owl came in, and he got the wrong end. So, the Cornell, the School of Ornithology. I've been out to the pond, but there's such wonderful things that come out of there.
One time we were going from the car to the house, and we had two dogs with us, and they were both white, and the owls. It was really funny because I had just moved up here and I wasn't used to their sounds, and I thought there were wild monkeys in the woods because that's what it sounded like. They were so excited, and I'm like, "What is that?" And then we had some people up here that were experts with birds of prey, and they said it's because of your dogs. They go nuts over white animals. They just love to go after them. Yes, and so it was. But they sounded like wild monkeys to me because it wasn't a hooting; it was more of an hysterical experience. But it was great. Great.
Yeah, but they wouldn't attack a dog, I don't think. But they do eat. They can eat. They
carry cats away up here.
I see.
They've carried cats away. One of them even took a 30-pound cat, which is like unheard of.
Yeah.
But they're big. They have they have a wingspan of 5 feet. So they're really large. But what I also found so interesting about them when we talked to this wildlife expert is how light they are. I mean, their weight is so light, but they're powerful. Those talons,
absolutely.
I wouldn't want to be grabbed by that. But anyway.
No. And I did read about an owl taking a small goat.
My God. Goat's a big animal. Even a small goat.
That's baby goat.
That's big. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
As far as weight goes, hummingbirds, I think are weigh less than a penny. But it might be a British penny. I don't know. It might be. I don't. But I read this somewhere, and they can go. Emily Dickinson has some wonderful poems on one on a hummingbird. Two of the lines are root of evanescence on a revolving wheel. The resonance of emerald, that's the greenish part for the only hummingbirds we see. Resonance of emerald, a rush of cochineal. Cochineal is reddish. And every blossom on the bush tilts its head. The male from Tunisia, probably, an easy morning's ride. The speed of the hummingbird. So... wonderful. That's the one. But I just saw a wonderful special on Costa Rican hummingbirds, and there are like 8 or 9 different varieties. One had bigger wings because they lived up pretty high on the mountains down there, and they so much depends upon these hummingbirds. The fertilization, we think of bees and stuff, but these hummingbirds do a lot of the fertilization of the essential growth in Costa Rica. So I was fascinated.
Interesting.
To hear that.
Now, hummingbirds are supposed to symbolize joy. So I really welcome seeing them at any point because they are, that's what they stand for. Let's go back to the crows for a minute because there are people, I've been watching their videos, and what they've been doing is leaving out food for the crows and little gifts, shiny things. And then the crows bring things back to them. They bring gifts back. And it's an amazing relationship that can develop with these pros. But they're so darn smart. It's really amazing. I've heard them talk, and they are clearly saying words. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
But with some of the other birds of prey, their language is, they seem like it's a different song that they're singing than the typical songbird. So what's the difference between the birds of prey?
A lot of them are pretty silent. The sharp-shinned hawk eats only birds. We have a lot of osprey down here. We have 81 osprey nests, which largely Gil Fernandez built the basis for these things in the Westport, in the east and the west branch of the Westport River. So we have osprey, and they're of course fisher, as are generally bald eagles prefer to eat fish of great, and there's some wonderful osprey on camera over in Wales that I watch a lot. But the red-tailed hawk makes a kind of a very high, or pretty high, not as high as a little bird would, but something like that. That's not quite right, but and I keep saying, well, why would it do it? And I think it's to terrify his prey, because he makes the sound, and his prey know exactly what bird's making that sound and scamper. They try to get the heck out of there. Did I tell you? I don't think I told you yet. John Young, who's a fantastic birder out in Washington State, came east and gave a talk up near Harvard. I think Harvard may have sponsored it. And he mentioned that with cardinals, these dramatic red cardinals and the not undramatic females, with cardinals, he once saw the cardinal doing his thing and the female nesting maybe 10 feet away. And as the cardinal stopped singing, started to fly, a sharp-shinned hawk came through and took him to eat. So the whole idea of male birds and their beauty, their strikingness, and female and their unstrikingness is protective of the species, because the males get killed, the females killed and etten, and the females much less so. So they're safer. They can blend in to the nest and et cetera. So that fascinated me, because you think of cardinals as so brave, and I guess they are if they have to deal with that. But there's so much predation. Many birds will eat other birds, especially the young. And
I had no idea.
And snakes.
Those cannibals.
Snakes will, of course, eat them. Yeah. That's right. That's exactly right. But the most predatory, like the hawks, sort of have their choice, because, as you said, or owls. The owls are really the most successful predators, because they come at night. And they can swoop in and eat things that are bigger than they are. Sometimes they seem to be. Certainly way more.
Yeah.
Than they are.
Yeah. They do. We have quite a few of them up here, but I always love to hear them talk to each other. Now, what about this?
Yes.
I mean, our audience is very much interested in communicating with birds, and what do you recommend? I mean, how do you communicate with birds? I mean, I know you imitate their songs, but is there another way other than that?
I don't know other ways, but I do know that if the main thing is, you could start with trying to repeat what they're saying, but realize that they don't want to hear that. I started writing my first book on bird called Bird Talk at Brown Library. The 9th floor of the science library was all ornithology. And back then, in the late 90s and early 21st century, the experts were recording bird talk and playing it back to them. And the birds would attack the speaker. They didn't want to hear their own song. Because all birds vary it slightly. The chickadee does, and the next one does, a quarter tone off, but different. Mm-hmm. See, so you have to develop. So what I would say for people trying to talk to birds, that they should start with what the bird is saying, but vary it. Add variation.
Oh,
and
okay.
if you, in fact, what I did is I spent about 20 years, or after, 10 years to begin with, taking one bird each year. And because you'll find, they say chickadee does this or robin does this, and you'll find they do a lot of other things too. Like, for instance, I have a wonderful picture of a little nesting cardinal that was taken right outside our house. But I never really mastered I knew the cardinals, when they were near the nest, had a very different language from all this, all that strong stuff that I was describing. So they have a domestic, a nesting language, which is different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's true of crows too.
So you are suggesting just basically listen to what they're singing and then imitate it, but change it, vary it a little bit, so it's not exactly the same.
Exactly. Okay. And if they develop their ears so they can hear quarter tones, etc., then they'll be able to vary it in significant ways. For instance, I often do with titmice, tufted titmice, who they nest in old trees. One of my things that I tell people is to leave up dead trees. There's all kinds of things that nest in them, including, of course, a lot of woodpeckers and chickadees and a lot of different things. But the tufted titmouse, typically does, which I once tried to teach, and I did. I succeeded, sort of. A tufted titmouse doing the Italian Symphony of Mendelssohn. But tufted titmice, if you listen to them for a whole summer, you'll find that they do. They have different things that they do near their nests. And,
okay.
But
what's it? When you do these songs, with these varieties of birds, do any of them come and sit on your shoulder, or do they keep their distance?
Well, no, they'll come. No, they'll come. There's only a few kinds of. Most birds will come to your hand, even. I mean, chickadees and things, if you have seeds and food, in winter. Mm-hmm. You could get them to come do that, but I tend to keep my distance because I know it's dangerous for birds to become too friendly with humans in general, because there are other humans who are not me and would just grab them, and put them in whatever. Yes, they come closer. I had this with I think it was a titmouse. It was over in another field, and I was calling back to it, and it came closer and closer. That wanted to see what bird was making this, and when he found that it wasn't a bird, he just stayed away. But he originally was claiming the land around me as his land, and so when I made some sounds like the titmouse, then he thought, there's another challenger here. So a lot of bird talk is territorial. It's like Americans waving guns, although that's an entirely different thing now. But this is my area kind of thing, because of course they depend. Almost all of them depend upon a certain area to survive, for food. We had a nesting woodcock out in back of our house, when they nest on the ground. So when there were wild roses and wild roses growing on the ground, not the kind that grew in bushes, and so we had woodcock and woodcock do the amazing. On the ground, they make this kind of riveting sound. I think, as I recall, and then when they go up and fly in about a football field-sized oval, they come back down, turning as they come, doing kind of a kissing sound. Just wonderful, wonderful, But what happens? A neighbor moves in who's a landscape expert, right? And he guts all the wild stuff and puts in grass. And that's it for the woodcock. They go somewhere else. I don't ever see them again. We also have nests in Yeah, it is sad. It is sad, and I don't know what to do. We've got new neighbors now that are doing exactly the same thing, only worse, I guess. He's mowing about 4 acres, mowing it, trying to make it lawn, and it's so silly when natural stuff breeds animals and birds and everything else.
Well, Alan, don't you think that it's important to teach people this? Because certainly this is not something that people learn in school. So they, of course, they're going to go and clear-cut a forest or, create a lawn where there was a natural habitat for the woodcock. But people don't know. I mean, they're really ignorant to a lot of this, don't you think?
Yeah, but it's not just ignorance. It's this, we've imported from England what they call their garden. They say, out in the garden, they actually mean yard, but sometimes it is a garden. But we've imported this idea of grass, which was seen as a great thing in the 18th century outside these mansions, right? Because there were other things growing besides grass. But now it's like I think that my next door neighbor here really thinks grass sort of proves his status. I don't know what it is, but if he had wild stuff growing. In fact, I saw somebody that I sort of trusted. He was married to a scientist and the son-in-law of a Yale grad who was long gone now, but a house couple down from us. Anyways, this guy Hux doesn't like wild stuff. He just had a whole bunch of stuff pulled out by his stone wall, of all things. So I don't know. Some of it is ignorance, but some of it is actual priority, cultural priority, grass over wild stuff. So anyways.
Yeah, but it's helpful to hear from people like you, Alan, because you obviously are very informed about all of this. And I mean, I didn't realize that you should leave dead trees standing because animals like to use that. So I had no idea until years ago somebody mentioned that they walked the property and said, well, I said, well, what about taking this dead stuff down? And she was like, no, don't do that. And then she explained it to me. I totally understood, and I was like, yeah, I'll just leave it. But again, it's like an educational process that needs to happen that people do feel like they have a choice. Yeah, absolutely. And you don't want dead things near your house, of course, obviously. But there are plenty of things. We lucked out on our lot because our house is back 70 yards from the road, but it's on an angle and it's surrounded in the back by stone walls, so it's very clear where the property is. Sounds lovely.
And we have a couple of good-sized oaks, which are doing their duty, and we have a lot of Nyssa sylvatica. I've forgotten what the English name for that is, but that's a wonderful tree too. And we have all in what is it called? Very common in Westport. They're a berry, but they're not. They look like grape leaves, but they're not grapes. It'll come back to me. But their season is over. We ate about half a pint of them about 2 weeks ago. But I have an almond, a Chinese chestnut tree, which is doing very well, and I planted a walnut tree at about 10 years ago, and no walnuts yet, so I don't know if I'll ever get walnuts, but it's growing okay. So anyways, and we have these wild cherry trees. You can make a kind of something out of wild cherries, but we don't do it. They're little things with big stones. But
we have them here too. Well, again, see, people need to be informed, and so that they can make better choices if they want to support wildlife like this.
Yes.
But what was it that made you were an English major, so what got you interested in birds?
I suppose music. I was an English major, but I also and comparative lit. In my life, I once interviewed for a comp lit position at the University of California, Berkeley. I didn't have a chance because he asked me. The head was Blake Spar was a German scholar, and he said, "Well, why did you take Russian rather than German?" And of course, I said, Chekhov, Onegin, Pushkin, Yevgeny Onegin, and Gogol. Gogol has the worst titled, funniest book in the world, which is called Dead Souls. It's about, it has this great tax evasion. It's all about tax evasion. Chichikov. But anyways, Russian lit has some wonderful, wonderful stuff in it. But I don't think.
But what took you to birds? What took you to birds from English?
I think music. I think because I was a musician, I played in the Smith Amherst Orchestra, first trombone, and I play jazz trombone. Is what I've been playing. But I'm not a professional jazz trombonist because, for one thing, I can't stay up after midnight. I tend to fall asleep. I always have, But so it was the music. It was the music, and I guess maybe I brought English to the birds. That is, I brought communications and what were they saying? What was the meaning? If I could figure out my freshman students' papers, I could figure out bird talk.
Certainly a challenge. Yes, absolutely. And have you ever had, Ellen, a spiritual or metaphysical experience with a bird?
Well, I suppose spiritual experiences all the time. The metaphysical in my book is titled "Conversations with the Birds: The Metaphysics of Bird and Human Communication," which the publisher put that title there. The metaphysics I was talking about was the bird metaphysics, that when they do the dawn chorus, and they all join in on making the sun rise. I'm sure they think that if they don't join in, the sun may not show up, And so that's a metaphysical idea, that you're going to affect things by your intentions and by your, speaking. And so I think that simply trying to communicate and trying to know what they are saying is spiritual, definitely spiritual, and maybe metaphysical. But it also birds are. I have a chapter in my book called Ava Therapy. Therapy by birds. You can talk to your friends, or if you have no friends enthralled by details of your latest body fluid samples and intestinal problems, you can talk to a physician who is usually too busy to listen after a couple minutes. If your problems are more pressing, you can talk to a psychiatrist, or you can talk to a bird. Birds charge less, and their conversation is more beautiful, even if your shrink is operatic. Birds won't shower you with jargon based on bad translations. Freud, by the way, never used the term ego, for example, which came in with the 1933 English translation. Freud's word was ich, or ich. Avian language may well be the language of the psyche, of the soul, and the mind. So I think maybe that's what I suspected, that we have our English language, and it has some spirit. It can have spirit. The poems, especially. By the way, some of the worst poems are about birds. Some of the worst lines, like "Bird, thou never wert." That's a line from Shelley. But also some of the best. For instance, Catullus in Latin, "Passe deliciae mea puellae." Sparrow, pet of my love. Catullus begins one of his poems. So there's some awful lines that came out of birds, and some really, really beautiful ones. Dickinson and even Byron has some good bird lines.
So here's another question for you. For people that are wanting to do this form of communication and just varying what they're hearing a little bit, I'm just curious, have you heard any stories from them about what happened when they tried to communicate? Anything that was unusual?
That's a good question, and maybe I should pay more attention. You know, the thing, when I give talks, and I've only given a couple on this book so far. I gave 80 talks on bird talk, but that was over, 20 years. And I've only given a couple, partly because I've been sort of not the best health. So, and I get an operation in 10 days or so that should bring me back. So I should maybe pay more attention to my audience. However, the audience that comes to me is often one that has not practiced this, has not done it. They're new to the idea, and so you might be able to get in touch with people who actually try it out, or have them get in touch with you or with me. They're perfectly happy to tell me about. They can find my email on the website, I think, about the book. So I have a website specifically on this book, which is called HabitableTree.com. HabitableTree.com is only about conversations with birds. But I also have a Facebook page based on my first book, which also includes this. It's called Bird Talk, Conversations with Birds. So there's stuff about specific birds in that one too.
Yeah, because I think when people try these techniques out, it's really interesing to hear what happens.
Yes.
Do the birds come into their dreams at night? Do they have a mystical experience? I mean, because the birds are so sacred and powerful in their own way. And yet, again, it's something that when people get up and get going in the day, I think most don't even think about listening to them. And it's a shame because they're missing something so beautiful. Now, I also heard that when birds start chirping in the morning, early morning hours, it actually messages the plants. It also messages the plants to wake up and start their photosynthesis and all of that. Yeah, so there's this incredible connection of life. And the birds are so much a big part of it. Yeah, and I really wish that for our audience and everybody who's interested that they will connect more with birds. And then they're a part of the circle again. They can feel it. They can hear it. And that's, that's a really remarkable feeling.
Wonderful. And I see in where I live big birds, turkey. Ben Franklin thought the turkey should be our national bird. He didn't like the eagle, was always affiliated with empires and crowns and all that. So he thought the turkey should be our national bird. And there's certainly a lot of turkeys now where I am, and quite a few vultures, who are arguably the most beautiful flyers. They're huge birds, and they circle and looking, of course, for parts of the road to clean up from beasts that have been hit and stuff. But anyways, we have
a lot of turkeys up here, and what I find so interesting is a lot of them love to take selfies. I mean, they'll walk right up to the trail cam and pose. I mean, they'll pose like one side of their face, and then they'll get a little closer. It's really, really fun to get the photographs back and see that they're having a great time with this camera. So they're quite the characters. They really are quite the characters, and we always see the little babies in the spring and summer following their mom, and it's just adorable. Yeah. So but they can also be quite destructive, because my husband had these.
Oh yes.
He used to have these stainless steel trailers to transport things, and he found these deep dents on these trailers, and he's like, "What is causing this? I mean, this is on steel." And then one day he looked outside, and there was this whole group of turkeys, and what they were doing was they were reacting to their reflection in the steel panel. And so they started pecking at it. So they were pecking it, and they did so much damage. He couldn't believe it. But that's how strong their beaks are, too.
Very interesting, because I've seen a yellow warbler attacking our windows for weeks. I keep thinking, why doesn't it learn it's not going to win against the window? But the turkeys did the same thing with the reflection in metal.
Reflection.
See, you got to have much less good metal. You tell your husband he's got to get something that's dull, kind of dull. Cheap stuff, exactly.
Oh, God, it was hilarious. He said, "What are the midgets coming on our property with little hammers? I mean, what is this?" He couldn't figure it out.
No. How would you?
It was really funny.
You couldn't possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, really. There's no explanation. But then, of course, they showed us what they were doing. But, yeah, birds are just so phenomenal, and I think it's great that you've written this book, and hopefully has raised people's awareness on connecting with birds.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for interviewing me. I really appreciate it, and I do encourage anybody that my email, I think, is on some sites if you look up Conversations with Birds.
Yeah, that would be great. And then people can share their stories with you too of what happens when they try this technique.
I'd like to know about that. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd love to know
that
more.
would be another great book.
Yep,
it really would. It would be excellent.
Thank you, Patricia.
You are welcome.
And good
Alan.
luck in the Berkshires.
Yes, and,
good luck in the Berkshires.
we're gonna wish good luck for PK in Tucson, Arizona, where it's boiling hot and the winds are blowing. So.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
that's so sad. What's happening with global warming? Just terrible. What's happening. But anyways, we still have life and birds.
We have the birds, that's right. Well, again, Alan, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful conversation tonight. We hope your health continues to improve. And everybody, next week, we're going to be back with another great show. So be sure to tune in. And until then, we will see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural.